How you doing, man? How you feeling?
Good.
Nice. Let's
Really good.
let's start with the win. What's something that's been a win since we talked last time?
Hmm.
Can be fitness related,
Um,
can be something maybe different.
yeah. Well, I did my polar plunge, so that's a win, I guess. Um, and I've gained a little bit more business contacts too, and more interview opportunities coming up soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. You gotta be excited about that, no?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, getting more and more contacts on LinkedIn has helped a lot.
That's awesome, dude. Have you been putting like applications in, or have you just been kind of connecting with
Yeah.
people?
Yeah, I've been networking and putting applications in where I can.
Nice.
I spoke with a few of my former colleagues at Pure Hockey, put a application in for a sales support administrator role there um, in their corporate office. See where that goes.
That's awesome, dude. That's pretty sweet, man.
Thanks.
So what's like a win when it comes to like health? Like, well, I'll say one right off the bat is those pictures look a lot different side by side.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely feeling the abs are starting to pop now, which is nice. I can feel them a lot more defined now, which
Dude, that's
is
awesome.
kind
It's
of
cool when you see
crazy.
side by side like the difference because it's hard to see like every day, like yesterday versus today, today versus tomorrow. But when you look like
Yeah,
yes, last year versus this year, it's cool to
I
see.
know it's crazy.
Are there any other like wins you feel like have been going well for you? Or
Yeah, I mean everything career wise has been picking up, getting more and more compliments on my appearance, which is always nice.
that's awesome, dude.
um, yeah, and I actually was speaking with probably know it if I said his name, Cam Carnes, earlier today. Um, he was like, "Yeah, you're crushing it, man. keep going."
Dude, that's awesome. It's cool when other people notice
Yeah.
the progress you're making, right?
Mhm.
Dude, that's awesome. So what's something like what can I help out with? I guess like what questions do you have for me?
Um, I guess nothing crazy. I mean, your suggestion with the holding on to the pole thing for the whatever the exercise is called, the not the leg lift, but the
Single leg box squat inside
yeah,
mouthful.
the box squat. There we go.
Single leg squat.
Yeah, that suggestion has helped a lot. Um, so I've been implementing that and implementing more and more of the uh, new exercises that we talked about, and working on doing like some more stretching and things like that to keep myself more mobile. So that's been a good improvement. Let's see what else can I think of. Um, yep, I got halfway through day 4 and then maxed out.
You're toast.
um, but I'm sure I'll get the full one in this week.
That's awesome. I mean, hey, like we were doing 3 days for a while, right? So
Yeah.
like now just even getting close to that fourth day is like it's gonna be
Mhm.
progression either way. And pretty soon it's
Yeah.
like now you're doing 4 days, crushing it. We'll just crank the
Yep.
volume up a little bit more. But that's good.
Mhm.
Have you been doing cardio still or not so much?
Oh yeah. I've been doing cardio, staying on that. Obviously going out for my walks around like 3 to 4 miles a day. Getting in like the speed cardio uh, in when I can as well.
That's good. 3 or 4 miles. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Goes by fast too. Sometimes I get back to the house and I'm like, man, like I didn't even think I I walked that far, but I guess I did. And I can like I as soon as I stop, I start to feel the sweat. I'm like, okay, it's actually doing something. This is good.
You know what's a cool thing to do when you are going to go out for a walk? Right when you
Yeah,
start, just go to your phone and just start a timer or start
yeah,
a stopwatch and then like see how long
hmm
it takes. Not like to time yourself per se, to like walk faster, but
yep,
like don't worry so much about that, but more so just like to see how long. Like, because
Mhm.
dude, sometimes I'll go for walks. Like I've been doing evening walks around my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And like same thing, dude. Like I just started the stopwatch. The next thing you know, I walked like the last couple of nights I've walked for like an hour and a half. And it's like I'm like, where the heck did I even go? But it's
Yeah,
nice
I know. It's like going out for a Sunday drive. You just go and see where it
man,
takes you.
for sure. It's a nice way to get like the natural endorphins going and like that it's like a natural hit of dopamine, right? Like rather than like, you know, like drinking a beer, you're instantly gonna get that feeling like, oh, this feels cool. But like with
Yeah.
a walk, it's like kind of sucks, but
Hmm.
then you're out on the walk, and you're like, I feel really good. And then you get back, you just like,
Yeah.
feel accomplished and like just always trickles down to new things. Um, that's good. You I would say too, like when you go on walks, like try to, I know for you, like you're working on career wise, like finding
Hmm.
something that's gonna fit for you. Just try to
Yeah.
like, visualize like what that looks like and like
Yeah.
what the
Good idea.
ideal life for you looks like. Because
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
personally what I do, and it helps me so much. Like when like the fitness carries over into your confidence, and then the confidence
Yeah.
over into your career. Like just like picture like
Yeah,
what
for
it is,
sure.
um, a nice time to kind of plan, right? Like
Mhm.
visually figure out what it is you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Did you watch those videos from the school thing?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I watched the mindset videos. Yeah,
Oh man,
they're pretty good. They certainly open up my perspective on mindset. That's for sure.
that's awesome, dude. That's
I
awesome.
never really thought about it that way. Like you kind of dug down into sort of the science of it, and I was like, okay, this is actually really interesting.
Yeah, man. It's there's a lot that goes into the mindset, and it seems cliche, and like everybody says, like, oh, just have a tough mindset and all these things. But I think really it's like people just like don't get results with whatever goal because they have a different mindset. I know we started working with this new phase back
Yeah.
a month or so ago. I don't remember
Hmm.
exactly, but that's one thing I was like, hey man, like let's start to really tap into that.
Yeah.
Just like shift the identity because like all of my mentors, all the people I work with, all of my like role models, people that I've looked up to,
Hmm.
growing up, they always talked about that, and it was like, okay, there's got to be some secret formula. There,
Yeah.
it's literally just like somebody else has just thought differently and taken different actions. Um, so I'd say like lean into that for sure. Like especially when you have specific weight, and this is why I wanted you to watch this before a call because I kind of wanted to touch on this a little bit. But
Hmm.
when you have like a specific thought pattern about like for you, I know you said like with the disability, right? Like it's something that like you
Yeah.
can't change. And I
Yeah.
and like I kind of pushed you to like, hey man, like let's try to like think about things differently though, because like there are things
Yeah.
we can change about it, right? And we can
Yeah.
think about it differently. Um, and so like when you can start to shift your mindset around like understanding like the difference between the two and like how to tap more into like what you want, then what
Yeah.
ends up coming to you. So like instead of thinking like, oh, like negatively about like it's just kind of how you've wired your brain. Like we've all wired our brain one way or the other. People that
Hmm.
are really successful, the reason that they like, I think oftentimes stay successful or have one success carry over into another area is they've
Hmm.
like tied off positive emotion and they've like gained momentum from it. But if
Yeah.
you're in like a negative headspace or whatever, something goes wrong and you stay in your own head after a cycle of
Hmm.
years or decades, it's hard to break out of that, but it's still possible. So like I'd say dude, just like shifting into that could like be
Hmm.
helpful for you because like for me, dude, when I start to realize like how our subconscious brain works, it's really a matter of like you have all these thoughts and all the thoughts and the belief systems, the way you think about yourself lead to all the actions you take. And so
Yeah.
it seems simple, but like when you start to actually change that, then like your life changes. And I would say the more that you can lean into that, like I think truly, I think that's why you're saying like you're more confident, right? And like your career opportunities are showing up.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a matter of you looking better. Like that's probably part of it, but I think the big thing is like you're seeing what's
Yeah. It's a mindset shift for sure.
yeah, and you're just thinking more positively and you're opening yourself up for more opportunities and trying new things um and you're just like filling yourself with like positivity and then like the positivity comes to and like this you probably heard the thing of like law of attraction or all these sorts of things like I think it's true
Yep. Yep. My one of my friends talks about that all the time. She's
yeah
like, it's like the law of attraction's a real thing. Come on.
I think it's true I think it's a real thing for sure but I think a lot of people like it's just my opinion I think people a lot of times look at it from like oh like you start doing things and things come to you I don't think
Hmm.
it's really that per se like I don't think it's like oh you
Yeah.
start working out and then all of a sudden you have like the ladies come to you, or like you start working out and you have the career come to you, like it doesn't just come to you, but I think what happens is
Yeah.
in that middle process, like you
Hmm.
make different actions and different decisions, and your mindset shifts, and then your mindset opens you up to different opportunities, and then you
Yeah.
see those opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't have seen, and then you take action on them and like attack and jump at them, and then you get the thing. It's not like it just gets handed to you. Like it's like your whole,
Yeah. No.
you know what I'm saying with that? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
each time in my life, for example, right, like each time in my life that I've had to happen, dude, like things just appear, and it's like, whoa, this must be a lot of attraction. And like I don't think it's just like that. I think it's just truly like you weren't ready to see it.
Hmm.
Like there's a book that I read once, and it talks about like mindset and a lot of like opening yourself up to like opportunities and possibilities. And like
Yep.
I remember when I read that book for the first time, it talks about how like things will just present themselves in your life, but you have to be
Hmm.
like in the right headspace to actually see it. And I remember like
Yeah.
reading that book,
Exactly.
and then I was in a certain headspace, and I was really
Yep.
locked into the headspace, and I was reading the book, and then I had like an
Hmm.
opportunity to work for a business owner, like a successful entrepreneur, and
Yep.
then like it just came out of nowhere almost. And then when I was working before him, I had like different eye-opening things that led to like new experiences. And then it's like now I
Hmm.
started this business because I had like a different way of thinking. But in the past, like when I was, working other jobs I didn't feel good with, or maybe in the past when I didn't have a job, it was like, oh, like you're so negatively focused that you're not ever gonna see those
Yeah.
open up.
Yeah.
So
It's like I've tried to, like, one of my friends reached out to me recently, and she goes, "Do you think I should quit weed? Like, do you think it's good for me?" And I'm like, honestly, for me, like, coming from me, I would say no. and and you should probably think about kicking it just as much as I should probably think about kicking alcohol completely, and also spending more time outside rather than spending more time on my phone on social media, because that's another thing that I find myself doing that bugs me, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get off my phone and do something now.
yeah, I mean, I think
So we're kind of both challenging each other to kind of get past those humps a little bit, and see where it goes.
dude, that's awesome. I think like a big thing really is there's not like I don't think there's things that are inherently like bad. It's just like if
Hmm.
you like some things, yeah, I think are bad for sure. But I don't
Yeah.
want nothing bad. But I think a lot of the things is like how you use them, and also not saying that to say like, oh, as long as you don't overdo it, because I think there are certain
Yeah.
things that like you shouldn't do them at all. Just like maybe it's not the right thing. But
Hmm.
I think that's just like the way it might affect you, right? Like if you're, say drinking alcohol once in a
Yeah.
while, maybe you're not overdoing it, but maybe like when you do
Hmm.
drink, it leads to you having like negative thoughts, and the negative thoughts
Yeah.
lead to you taking actions, and then the actions lead to you having a life you're not happy with. It's not the
Hmm.
alcohol's fault per se, but maybe it's like the
Yeah.
has on you. Um,
Hmm.
and that's what I'll say. The other thing I'll say, dude, is when you like start to like reset your dopamine receptors to like what you're giving your body, it's I think eye opening. Like the endorphin release you get from like going on a walk, for example, or working out
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
feel as good as alcohol, or like going to a party or something might have felt like years
Yeah.
ago, just as
Mhm.
an example, right? But it's like
Yeah.
you have like your dopamine receptors, and basically like every time, say you like drink alcohol, and then you smoke weed, and then you
Yeah.
have sex and you do all these things, it's like if you're
Hmm.
doing that stuff all the time, and now
Yeah.
you need like the same to get the same amount of dopamine, you have to like do like an even more intense drug, just how like
Yeah.
they called you kind of.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're constantly eating healthy foods and going on walks and
Hmm.
exercising, it's like reading
Yeah.
a book is like it fills up your dopamine like crazy. And like this is why I think like the compounding effect like is a big thing. Like because
Yeah. Sure. It definitely is.
when you're doing one thing, it just carries over to another. But like yeah, dude, like for example, when I used to drink alcohol, I never like overdid it, but I would go out for
Hmm.
drinks with friends on the weekend, like once or twice a week, and
Yeah.
not all the time, but sometimes it was like plus we're going to a party after, right? And I'm listening to like music all the time. Now it's like
Hmm.
for me to sit down and read a book, it's like I don't want to do this, and it's like I don't know how people would like to read books. But then I stopped like drinking that much, and it's like now I'm not really
Yeah.
doing that, and now I love reading books, and it's like such a hit of dopamine, really. It's like I need to like read, like I need to get like my hit of dopamine or whatever, right? It's just you can just
Yeah.
choose what you want to do with your life. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
like after this call, dude, I'm gonna go on a walk. I know it's late, but I want to go on a walk and like I cannot wait. And in the past, it's like I used to hate doing cardio. I used to
Yeah, like,
hate
oh, man. Yeah,
going how your mind works.
yeah, I know.
So what do you feel like for you is like a new like goal? Like I want to set like maybe a new like milestone for you before we like talk next. At least something, even if you don't achieve it, right? Maybe you will,
Yeah.
but just to like kind of aim and put your mind for it. Because like for me, dude, every time I set a new goal, not just do
Yeah.
I take different actions, but like kind of like I
Mhm.
just mentioned, doesn't come to you, but you get put in front of the opportunity more. So anytime I like write goals down or put them on my whiteboard, like the end of just
Yeah.
coming true. So like, what do you feel like for you that could be?
Yeah, I guess if I'm thinking like short to long term is just getting myself out there and becoming more social. Like I can socialize pretty well like in a professional work setting, but when it comes to like going out and just having fun, I tend to like meeting new people is a massive anxiety inducing thing for me for whatever reason.
Why do
Um
you think that though?
I I don't know. Like I don't know if it's because I've always been more of an introverted person, but like when what I find is when I'm like say I'm in a work setting or whatever and we're all like kind of going towards the same goal, it's it's much easier to kind of open myself up to people that have common goals to me. Like when I go out and just kind of like cold talk to people out of nowhere, like it's 10 times harder, which
I mean that makes
is the
sense. Like
weirdest thing.
that makes sense. I was on a phone call with a buddy of mine the other day, and he's like another business owner, and we talked a lot about like how um in certain what we were talking about is how like in certain times like we're like we might talk way more over the top and like have these long drawn out conversations that go on for like
Yeah,
an hour or whatever, sometimes longer. And then
yeah,
times it's like in a different environment, it's like I'm a lot less, like extrovert, if you want to put it that way.
yeah, yeah.
And like we were just talking about, and this is what he said was like, oh, I think it's just you feeling like you're like comfortable in that environment. So I think
Mhm.
like it depends, right? Like if you feel like you're around like family members or friends or people that you're talking to all the time or people that you
Yeah,
trust and you feel like they're not going to judge you, then you're probably more
mhm.
likely to be your best self. And
Yeah, exactly.
I think like if you're around an environment of people that are new to you, who don't really know them, yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely gonna be harder for sure. Um, but I think just try to figure out like give some thought to like why it is that you want to like be less or more socially less socially awkward and more outgoing.
Yep.
If that's what you meant by that. Is that what you
Yeah,
meant?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I would say like give some thought to that because you want to like from a psychological perspective, you want to really try to tie, you know, the goals. I'm not
Mhm.
reading off the wall, although I have things on my wall. Um, sometimes I like to look when I think. Um,
Yeah.
but like I would say, like for you, dude, it would be helpful to like try to figure out like why you want to do the thing. Like
Mhm.
if you like, I'll give you an example, right, to get this message across. Like if I, for example, were to tell myself like I need to be more motivated or I need to be more disciplined,
Mhm.
my brain doesn't like that word. My brain doesn't want the discipline or the hard work. Like my brain doesn't like that stuff. Like now inherently
Yep.
it's good for me. So I look forward to hard work, but it's
Yep.
like not those are like what makes causes that friction. You want to tie it to the emotion, right? So like
Mhm.
tying things to positive emotion will help you, get to a better position and elevate, right? So like for you, if it's like, oh, like I want to be more socially, like even just saying like I want to be less socially awkward. If you think about that, your brain is
Yep.
thinking like socially awkward, like oh, like I hate that, like where oh, there's this friction, and I want that, and you're like running away from pain. Like,
Yep.
instead of saying run away from pain, I would rather tell my brain personally run towards pleasure. So instead, if you were to flip the coin, just say like instead of being less socially awkward, just start telling
Mhm.
yourself, I want you know to be in an environment with people that like appreciate who I am, or I want have a relationship with somebody that like sees me in my value, or I
Mhm.
want to be able to fully express myself and be like outgoing, like I know I am
Yep.
around some people. You start to look
Yeah.
at that, your brain now starts to associate those changes you need to make to be that person
Yeah.
with like
Mhm.
positive emotion. It's like, oh, I can't wait to have that thing. And like for me, dude, when I used to always run away from like like with my fitness, I think one of the biggest things that helped me start to actually be consistent with my eating and my nutrition to get
Hmm.
to the health I wanted was when I would look at it as like, oh, I don't want to have to go on a diet. I don't want to have to cut out these food options. Like I love eating like all this crappy food. It was always so hard for me, and I always would fall back into the hole. But when I start to shift
Yeah.
towards like, I cannot wait to look this way. I cannot wait to feel this way. I cannot
Yeah.
wait to like have the energy and all these things. Then I start to look forward to the good side of things. And now it's like, oh, it's like almost addicting where it's like, I can't wait to eat these healthy foods. And it's weird. And so like,
Yeah. No, it's like the junk food, for instance, I'm finding out. I occasionally like I'll be like, okay, I can indulge in like a candy bar or something, and then I eat that candy bar, and I'm like, I could do without it.
yeah, it's like,
It doesn't hit the same as it used to.
yeah, for sure. And another thing too is like you also with the junk, for example, like the candy bar, after
Yeah.
you eat it, you probably don't feel your greatest. And it's probably like, oh, I should not have had that. Or like maybe it's more like, all right, I kind of feel like my I have a headache or whatever, right? Just as an
Yeah,
example.
exactly. Yeah.
You also have that like pretty immediate sense of like and like oh I let myself down or like oh like not to say it's
Hmm.
bad, it's definitely once in a while not a big deal, but
Yeah.
um
Yeah. No.
when you but on the flip side when you do something like you go on like a 4 mile walk and you get back
Hmm.
probably all day
Yep.
long, like dude I got my walk in like I'm the man, like I followed through with what I say I wanted. um
Yep.
so yeah, I would say like lean towards like the positive side of things. Even like with
Hmm.
the maybe this could help with like the job, right? Like when you
Yeah.
like so instead of thinking like, oh, I'm gonna put myself in a position to like get a job and like get interviews, you might
Hmm.
have some friction there in your brain about like, oh, I don't want to have to show up for another interview, all this stuff. Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But instead, if you were to look at like, oh, I can't wait to have like a career that I feel like I'm thriving at, that like I'm bringing home a
Hmm.
lot of income and I'm doing all these things, you're probably gonna like look forward to doing that more, and then you put yourself in
Yeah.
just like with the outgo,
Yeah. For sure.
just like with
I
the
did. Yeah, I definitely anytime I get a new interview, like it kind of like invigorates me. I'm like, okay, like this is good. I'm moving in the right direction here. I mean, sometimes it's disappointing and it doesn't work out, but it'll work out at some point. I just kind of I like to think of the good side of things. Like I have one of my business contacts, who's been helping me through the process. It's like it'll happen. God's on your side. It's just your time hasn't come yet. It's right around the corner. Just keep doing what you're doing.
definitely just like thinking about the good that comes from it. Like there's always good that comes from everything. It's just like the
Yeah.
cup empty versus the cup full. Like
Hmm.
you could like I don't know have something really bad happen in your life, but there's got
Yep.
to be at least one thing that comes from it. You're gonna
Hmm.
look for those positive things, and eventually you're training your brain to look for the good in everything versus
Yeah.
the opposite and like doing all the negative. Like every time I left that I thought about the negative things,
Hmm.
it's been more negative than I see. It's just how your brain works. So I would say you tap into that, and then like the um, being more outgoing sort of thing. Thinking more
Hmm.
about like, oh, I cannot wait to be this, be my best, like my fullest self, right? Where like I'm authentic and I'm not like acting awkward because I don't know the person. I feel comfortable, or like, oh, I can't
Yeah.
have these friends or this relationship or
Hmm.
whatever, or it's like job. Like think about like the good that comes from it and how you feel then. And this is what I was telling
Yeah.
a client I was with like on the phone like an hour ago or on a Zoom call. I mean,
Hmm. Yep.
I was telling him like he was asking me something about like mindset, and he's transitioning away from his in-person like regular job to like starting his own business. I said to him,
Hmm.
dude, like just, and this is what I say for you too, because it's I think pretty parallel. Like you want to think about what that like 2.0 version of yourself would the
Hmm.
actions they would make and the thoughts they would have, because it you can't like just step from one point to another point in your life with the same actions
Yeah.
and thoughts. You need to shift that. But before the actions and the results happen in your life, you have to start thinking that way. So like start with the mindset, like how you're gonna
Yeah.
feel when you
For
have
sure.
that thing, and then you eventually become that person. Has
Yeah, for sure. Because I definitely want to have like those building block steps to kind of get myself to the point where like, okay, like I'm gaining experience in these jobs, and then eventually I'll have all the experience I need to uh, create and run my own business. Like I'm not there yet, but I'm building up to that point, um, in all the stuff I'm doing, which is the goal.
just keep going, dude. I mean, like it seems it seems super cliche what I'm about to say, but like as long as you don't quit and you don't give up, like you actually won't fail. Like all
Yeah.
my mentors always tell me that, and I'm like, okay, this
Mhm.
isn't BS. And then I actually start to just like realize, like as I get closer and closer to my goals, that like
Mhm.
all the people around me, like the other business owners that I'm like connected with, the ones that aren't making progress, is they're just not like continuing to move forward. They get in their own head.
Yep.
So like if
Mhm.
you can just realize that like as long as you keep taking action, you will
Yep.
eventually get there. And if you take a bunch more action, then you'll get there faster. And
Mhm.
you do the right things, and you get there even faster, right? And then
Yeah, very true.
keeping that in mind, and then also, you know, it's just like kind of what I'm just coming to mind that I think might help you, but also like
Mhm.
just like thinking, like understanding that you can choose how you perceive the situation, how it feels. Like you have control over your emotions, right? So like
Mhm.
something that helped me is I used to be in like positions where it's like, oh, I need to get my business off the ground, or I want to get into a new job, or like even when I was in college, I remember like, oh, I don't know if like I didn't get an internship, for example, in college
Yep.
for like a couple of years, and I was really trying to
Mhm.
find one, and I was in my own head. And then like what I realized now is like, had I thought about it differently and realized that like I don't actually have to let this affect me as much as I was,
Mhm.
and if I do that and I don't let it affect me, then like I end up like being at more peace with it. And when I'm at peace is when I have those opportunities come up and I jump at them. So it's like just thinking about that, dude, as you continue, I think could help. Like, don't worry so much about what you can't control. Just focus on what you can
Yep.
control, and then
Yeah, for
realize that
sure.
like even like where you are right now with whatever is going on, whenever hardships might come up, like we all have hardships. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't actually have to be that hard, unless you want to make it harder for yourself. Like just you know, just
Yeah, exactly.
just thinking about things differently and like you have the control gives you all the power back. I think.
Yeah, it's all about a mindset shift. I try to think of that on a daily basis. Gonna start thinking more positive and less negative.
Yeah, for sure. And like, don't beat yourself up over, um, like I'm saying this from a perspective of like I get in my own head a lot of times too. Like it's
Mhm.
super normal. But
Yeah.
like, don't beat yourself up when you do, because you
Mhm.
just psychologically you get yourself into these feedback loops. It can either be positive or negative. But if you get mad at
Yeah.
yourself for doing the wrong decision and making the wrong actions, um,
Yep.
then you typically tend to fall back into, oh, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter, or like self sabotage behavior. The
Mhm.
positive side of things, if you reward yourself every single time, like that you do something good, then it becomes easier and you like congratulate yourself, like I'm the man, I did all these things. Like
Mhm.
for like me, do when I do like exercise or I work out or I eat food, I just try, I don't always bring awareness to it, but I try to bring awareness to it when I remember, and
Yep.
just like almost like reiterate like this is a good thing, like I'm so glad I did this thing, like this is
Mhm.
awesome, and it makes me want to lean towards doing more of this stuff because I tie the positive emotion with whatever I'm doing. Like I was
Yep.
eating, for example, I was eating like eggs and chicken sausage earlier, and I was thinking
Mhm.
back to myself where like even like a couple of years ago I would be at the time eating like just like horrible food like if food's bad, and
Yeah.
I would be eating like just not the best quality food choices. And like now thinking back, like I can't believe I actually prefer this types of food.
Mhm.
It's just because like I've thought about things differently, and it's like I'm congratulating myself. Like let's go. Like I'm eating these like foods that in the past used to be like it used to be so hard for me to eat these eggs, or so hard for me to eat this chicken, and this like
Mhm.
chicken and asparagus or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
when you just congratulate yourself on the wins, like it's easier to win that way. So
Yeah, exactly.
hopefully that kind of gives you some insight. I just like to.
Yeah, no, that helps a lot.
I'm glad you. But well, I guess like what questions do you have for me? What can I help out with?
I mean, yeah, I don't have a lot of questions right now. It's more like, I mean, I think just going over the mindset stuff helped a lot today and recently, just with all the good things that have been happening, and I'm just gonna keep going at it.
That's awesome, man. This just came to mind too. You should check out on YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, I forget his name, but there's like somebody I found that like helped me like start to shift some mindset things. Um,
Yep.
you like to watch YouTube or no?
Yes, I do.
Um, let me see if I can find his name. His name's like George, Dr. George. Um, well, let's see. I came across this YouTube video maybe like over the summertime.
Yep.
Um, and it helped me like start to. pick up things differently. Let me see if I can find it. Give me like 2 minutes. I'm gonna find this, but there's it's basically he's I think he's a psychologist
Yep.
in somewhere in California. And he talks
Mhm.
about how like you have different parts of your brain that latch on to like emotions and like
Yeah.
things that have happened to you, whether it be like trauma or like whether it be like different situations you've gone through. He talks about how like you can start to rewire your brain and almost like re-identify yourself as a different person and almost like
Mhm.
eliminate these like things from being an issue. And when I started to think about it and look into it, it
Yep.
opened some things up. Um
Yeah, it's like I actually enjoy watching his name. He's Canadian, Jordan Peterson.
oh yeah,
You
he's
ever
a
heard of him?
third
He's
Peterson.
he,
Yeah,
he's awesome. I love watching his content.
yeah, dude, he's awesome. I haven't listened to him in a while. I got into him back in I think when I was in college, I was like really big into that. But yeah, dude, he has a lot of
Yeah.
good stuff for sure. What I like to do is I like to like find information and then I study the
Mhm.
person, or I study the information and I study the person that put up the information, and then I
Yep.
try to find like the source of where they got it from. So like, for example, I would be the type of person to like find maybe like a Jordan Peterson video, and then he
Yep.
refers somebody else, or he found, oh, I talked to this guy, and I'll go find the guy and see what he has to say, and then
Yep.
I talks about, oh, I talked to this guy, and then so it's like you're going back to like,
Yeah. It just keeps going back. Yep.
I'll have to get back to you, I guess, on the name. I can't
Yeah.
think.
No problem.
Um, yeah, I'll have to get back to you on the name, but there's a psychologist, and I think it will help it. He talks about how he does like these like sessions where he sits down with people and he asks them like specific questions, and it gets
Mhm.
them to like open up their mindset and just like shift it around like the possibilities for them. And there's like stories about like Tony Hawk is
Yep.
story
Yes,
about,
I do.
there's a story about like Tony Hawk sat down with him and like within like the matter of like there's a video on it where it's like basically a Tony Hawk interview and like
Mhm.
he was like at the end of his career with his skateboarding business and basically
Yep.
his apparel and everything, and they said like, hey, like it's coming down to the wire, and his shoe brand was gonna like say like, hey, like we're gonna give you like another a 1 year contract to prove yourself,
Mhm.
but like it's probably
Yep.
time is probably done. And then he met with
Mhm.
this psychologist, and then all of a sudden, like his brain took off like after like a couple months from like the
Yep.
mental, and he gives all the credit to this doctor and says that like everything unlocked for me when I sat down with this guy because
Yep.
all of the mental burdens that they told me back from being my best self were like unlocked when this guy asked me specific questions about like early on in my childhood. So I looked into that guy, I looked into the interview, and then I looked into that guy's work, and he's on like a bunch of like talk shows, and it's pretty cool. So if I find it, I'll send it over to you. Um,
Yeah. Cool.
but nonetheless, dude, just keep taking action, just keep following through. It seems like you're crushing it, dude.
Yep. Exactly.
It's cool to be able to hear about like successes for you and keep me in the loop if I can help out with anything.
Yeah,
Um,
I will. Absolutely. You've helped a lot already.
that's awesome, man. I'm glad it's been helpful. But that's kind of all I got for you for today. I know we went a little bit over. You're my last call for the night, so I'm like always
Mhm.
happy and we're having a good convo. But do you have any questions, anything I can help out with before we kind of wrap up?
Yeah. No. Nothing on the top of my head right now. We pretty much
Cool.
covered everything.
Cool. Well, let me know if I can help out with anything in the meantime or anything that comes up, and then otherwise, just make sure you book in your call, do your check-ins, and we'll talk soon,
Yeah.
man.
All right. Cool. Sounds good.
Hey, you have a good night and keep crushing it, dude.
You too.